Hi, in this video, we're going to factor this quadratic. Now, this problem is much like what we've done, and so since there's four terms, we're going to factor this by grouping. So let's make a note of this. Since four terms, factor by grouping. Okay, so what we did is we said we had x squared. I'll just rewrite this down here. Plus 2x minus 3x minus 6. Now, my first group here have a common factor. Remember, we don't call this the greatest common factor because it applies to the whole problem. But in this group, we have a common factor of x. And in the second group, I have a common factor of, looks like minus 3. If that doesn't work, then we can go back and fix that. So let's write and see. If a common factor in the first group is x, so it leaves me an x plus 2. Then I'm factoring out a negative 3. Remember to include the sign. And then I have left an x plus 2. And we know that this worked because these match. These factors match. Actually, it's the same factor. The greatest common factor. So now, whoops, let's do this. So since I have a GCF is x plus 2, I can factor that out. And I have x plus 2 times x minus 3. Now, that was what we've been practicing, but there's something off here, and let me explain. The catch is that 2x minus 3x, these are really like terms. So you would never see 2x minus 3x, so this is written, or simplified, if you will, this is written as 2x minus 3x, but really, that's just minus x. So if that's what happens then, the real problem you see is this. Factor x squared minus x minus 6. Okay, so now the question is, well, how do we do that? Because we can't factor by grouping because there's not four terms. So what we do is play the x game. And here's how it applies to our problem. I'm going to just make a big X here. And I'm going to write my problem down below. And I'm going to include a few pieces. One is that in math, if there's not a number written in front of a letter, we have what we say an implied 1. Now you may say, wow, well, why do mathematicians do that? Well, there's no reason to write it. But you do need to know it's there. And you actually have encountered this in just common English language. For example, if you tell someone, go to the store, then what you've really said is, or what you've really implied is the subject is you, yet you've left the subject out of the sentence. So again, in that case, the subject was applied. So it's really not anything different than what we use just in common language. Now, here's how we play the game. We play the game by, we take the number in front of the x squared, and we take the number without any x's or variables, and we multiply them. So we go 1 times negative 6 to get negative 6. Then we take the number in front of, it's just the x, not the x squared, but just the x, and we put that in the bottom position. Then we play the game. So now we would need two numbers that multiply to -6 and add to -1. So I'm thinking about, how about a -3 plus 2? Yeah, I think that should work. So then, now what that does is this. That unlocks the problem. Now, if we use the -3 plus 2, well, that's what we had right up above. If we look up above here, we'll do this in our magenta. Notice that there's the -3, and there's the +2. And now we're back to the original problem. So now let's finish that. We would rewrite this as x squared minus 3x plus 2x minus 6. And notice here that we have 4 terms, so we can factor by grouping. Yeah, sorry, I was pausing. I'm going to go back and make a note of it. That the game, let's make a note up here. The game unlocks the middle term into 2 terms. Now, 4 terms. So here we have 4 terms. So we can factor by grouping, which is what we've been practicing. Oh, getting all close to the margin. So here we go. Notice that in our first 2, we have a common factor of x. And it looks like in the second group, we have a common factor of, looks like a +2. So that gives me x times x minus 3 from the first group. Now, since I have +2, I need to include the sign, so +2 times x minus 3. And we know that we've done this correctly because now we have a greatest common factor of x minus 3. So we factor out the x minus 3, and what remains is the x plus 2. And that's how you use the game to factor a quadratic. Hope that helps. Thanks for watching.